everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I know can be a little bit intimidating, but super important: taxes.
Yeah,
Especially for all of us freelancers out there.
absolutely. And you guys sent in some really great material, tax strategies for freelancers and gig workers,
Yeah.
which is perfect because we're going to break it all down for you. Whether you're, totally new to freelancing or you've been at it for a while, this stuff can definitely feel different from a regular 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, it's a whole other world, right?
Yeah,
But the goal here is to help you guys not just survive tax season, but actually use it as like a tool to build a really strong financial future.
I love that. A tool.
Yeah.
Because it really is. One of the biggest things I see freelancers struggling with is that shift in thinking about taxes. It's not something you just deal with once a year in April. It's got to be top of mind all year round.
Totally. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of like landing a new client or finishing a project, but then, Uncle Sam's got to get his cut too.
Exactly. And unlike with traditional jobs, no one's taking taxes out of our paychecks automatically. We have to be on top of it ourselves.
That's so true.
And that's where understanding something called self-employment tax comes in. It's super important for freelancers. Basically, you're responsible for the full 15.3% self-employment tax, which includes both Social Security and Medicare. It's a big chunk.
Wow. Okay. 15.3%. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, there are some, specific ways you might be able to lower this tax burden, like incorporating as an S corp, but that's probably a whole other deep dive.
Yeah, let's save that for another time.
Right. For now, just being aware of this self-employment tax is huge.
So it's almost like, whenever you get paid for a project, there's a little voice in the back of your head saying, don't forget about taxes.
Ah, yeah, exactly. And that brings us to one of the most, I would say, fundamental habits for any freelancer: meticulous tracking. You absolutely have to know how much money is coming in and where it's all going.
Okay, so we're talking about more than just like shoe boxes full of receipts, right? There's got to be a better way.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thankfully, we have technology to help us out now. There are tons of great tools, like QuickBooks, FreshBooks, or even free ones like Wave Accounting. These can make tracking everything so much easier.
I love it when things are easier, but it's not just about tracking every single expense, right? There are certain things that we as freelancers can actually deduct to lower our tax bill.
Absolutely. Deductions are like, I don't know, a treasure hunt for freelancers, huh? And a great place to start is the home office deduction. If you have a dedicated workspace in your home that you use only for business, you can actually deduct part of your rent or mortgage, utilities, even your internet.
So even if it's not like a fancy separate office, just a designated spot in a room can count.
That's right. The IRS gives you two options for calculating it, either based on the square footage of your workspace or by actually tracking your expenses. It depends on your situation and what works best for you.
Got it. That makes sense. Now, I know there are a lot more deductions out there besides the home office one. What are some other big ones that maybe freelancers don't always know about?
Ooh, good question. One that's often overlooked is deducting professional development expenses. Things like, online courses, workshops, conferences, even those subscriptions you pay for to stay up to date in your industry, all of that's deductible.
So investing in myself can actually be a tax write-off. Okay, I like where this is going.
Right, exactly. And don't forget about the basics too, like office supplies, software subscriptions, travel for business, even the portion of your cell phone bill you use for work calls and emails. It all adds up.
So we're tracking everything, making the most of deductions. But what about actually putting money aside for those taxes? It's tempting to spend that income as soon as you get it.
Oh, I know. That's why I always recommend what I call the set it and forget it strategy.
Hmm.
Basically, as soon as you get paid, make it a habit to transfer 25 to 30% of that income into a separate savings account specifically for taxes.
I love that, especially the forget it part. But how do you know how much to put aside if your income changes a lot from month to month?
That's where the meticulous tracking we talked about comes in handy. If you look back at your income and how much you paid in taxes last year, you can get a decent estimate of your tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you can always adjust how much you're saving throughout the year if things change.
This is all making a lot more sense now. Okay, so one thing I've always been a little confused about: estimated taxes. Like, I've heard the term, but it's always sounded a little intimidating.
I hear you. It can sound scary. But let's try to think about it differently. Instead of seeing estimated taxes as a burden, what if we saw them as, like, a power move?
Okay, I like that.
It's a way to stay in control of your money and avoid those nasty penalties for underpayment. You're basically prepaying your taxes in smaller chunks throughout the year instead of scrambling to come up with a huge amount all at once in April.
That makes so much more sense, and I bet it's a lot less stressful.
It definitely is. And, the best part is you could adjust these payments during the year if your income changes. Flexibility is a huge perk of freelancing.
Totally. So these estimated taxes, they're due every 3 months, right? When are those deadlines we need to remember?
Think of them like the regular tax deadline's cousins. Haha. April 15th, then June 15th, September 15th, and finally January 15th of the following year. Get those on your calendar.
Got it. Writing it down. Okay, I'm feeling a lot more confident about handling those estimated taxes now, but there's still so much to learn about, really optimizing our finances as freelancers. Let's talk about retirement planning and health insurance. Those are two big ones that can feel overwhelming.
Yes. So important, but often overlooked. And thankfully, there are a lot of great options out there, whether it's picking the right retirement plan or finding good, affordable health insurance.
That's definitely where it gets really interesting. Let's dive into those details in part two of this deep dive.
You got it. So, retirement planning for freelancers, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Thankfully, we've got options.
Okay, good. Because that's what I love about freelancing, the options. But sometimes it's hard to know which option is best. So we talked about SEP IRAs, solo 401ks, and simple IRAs. Can we break those down a bit more? Like, how do we know which one might be the right fit?
Yeah, definitely. Let's start with the SEP IRA. It's known for being pretty simple to set up and manage, plus it has those high contribution limits. That makes it a good choice for, say, freelancers who have a solid income stream. It's like, really turbocharging your retirement savings.
Gotcha. So if I'm having a really good year income-wise, the SEP IRA could be a smart move.
Exactly. Now, the solo 401k, this one's interesting. It gives you even more control and potentially higher contribution limits, which is awesome. It's unique because you can contribute both as an employer and as an employee.
Wow, that's cool. So it's like you get to wear both hats.
Yeah, kind of. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Then there's a simple IRA. Like the name suggests, it's usually easier to set up and manage, but it does have lower contribution limits compared to the other two.
Okay, so it really all depends on your individual situation, income, and how much you can afford to contribute each year.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you and where you are in your freelancing journey.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about another big one, health insurance. This is something I know a lot of freelancers struggle with, myself included.
Oh, yeah, I remember feeling so lost when I first had to figure out health insurance on my own.
Right, like where do you even start?
Well, a good starting point is the Affordable Care Act marketplace. You can go online, compare plans, and find one that fits your needs and budget. And remember, we talked about the health insurance deduction earlier. That can really help make coverage more affordable.
That's right, it's like a little bonus for freelancers, right?
Exactly. And if you're able to get a high deductible health plan, you could look into a health savings account or HSA.
Ooh, HSAs. Those seem pretty cool, but I don't really know much about them.
They're great. Basically, it's like a triple whammy for saving on healthcare costs.
Hmm.
You get a tax deduction for your contributions, the money grows tax-free, and you can use it tax-free for qualified medical expenses.
Wow, okay, so it's like a secret weapon for unexpected medical bills.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. You can sometimes find health insurance plans specifically designed for freelancers through professional associations or even some private insurers. Definitely worth checking out.
So many options, but at least it sounds like there are resources and strategies to help us make these decisions.
There are. And, you don't have to do it all alone. A tax professional can be super helpful, especially as your business grows. They can make sure you're maximizing all those deductions, staying compliant with all the rules, and hitting your financial goals.
It's like having a personal financial coach in your corner, someone who really gets the whole freelancer life.
Exactly. And that brings us back to something important. Even if you can't pay all of your taxes right away, filing on time is absolutely crucial. I know it can be stressful if you don't have the full amount due, but trust me, it's better to file on time and figure out a payment plan later.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Definitely stressful. So what are our options if we do need a payment plan?
Well, the IRS actually offers payment plans specifically for situations like this, which is good news. They can give you some breathing room and help you avoid those huge penalties for paying late. It's all about being proactive and communicating with the IRS.
That's a huge relief to know. Just having those options makes me feel way more confident about handling my freelance finances.
I'm glad to hear that. That's what we want, to help you guys feel empowered and in control. Because at the end of the day, being a freelancer is about freedom and flexibility. And with good financial habits, you can really enjoy those perks without constantly worrying about taxes.
Totally agree. Okay, so what are some key takeaways we can leave our listeners with today?
Well, the biggest one is to be proactive. Don't wait until tax season to think about your finances. Get organized, plan ahead, track everything, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
It's about turning those tax time anxieties into confidence and a sense of control.
Yes, exactly. Freelancing is amazing, and with the right financial habits, you can build the freelance life of your dreams.
I love it. Now, before we wrap up, I have a question for our listeners. Knowing everything we've talked about today, what's one small step you can take this week to level up your finances?
Maybe it's setting up that separate savings account, finally sorting through those receipts, or scheduling a call with a tax pro to get personalized advice.
Whatever it is, take that step. Every little bit counts. And remember, we're always here to help you navigate the world of freelancing and finances. So until next time, happy freelancing, everyone. It really is all about those small steps, isn't it? Building those good habits, making those smart choices, and yeah, building that amazing freelance life you're talking about.
You said it. It's been great talking all this through with you today. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
Me too. And to all our listeners out there, just remember, the deep dive is always here for you. We're here to help you make sense of all this stuff and make the best choices for yourselves, your businesses, whatever you're working on.
Absolutely. And hey, maybe next tax season won't feel so scary after all, right? Maybe you'll even be like looking forward to all those deductions you can take.
I love that. Confidence and excitement, that's the goal. So until next time, happy freelancing, everyone. Keep those questions coming and keep crushing it.